Goes before who stands behind God of angels is always by us, one who reigns forever, is a friend. Is by your side. We thank you, Jesus. We trust you, God. God, I look to you. I won't be alone. Give me vision to see things like you do. God, I look to you. You wear my help.
Right. All right. Well, hello, everyone, and good afternoon. We bring you greetings here from Birmingham, Alabama. Happy October, everybody. Happy fall, y'all, as we like to say in the South. But it is so nice to have this nice, cool weather in the morning, and then that heat catches you in the back of the neck in the afternoon. But it's all good. We're just happy to get some kind of cool weather here in Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome, all of our viewers, all of our listeners from around the world. You have just joined us here at Birmingham Bible Church's Winning Wednesday. We love to just always thank you for how you join, how you watch, and how you share this broadcast. If this is your first time watching, we like to bring you important information. All of our viewers, that's just not only for you, but just for everybody, for ourselves, for our family, for our friends, but things that are important for your life and for your living. We love to take this time out to just inspire you, to educate you, to motivate you, to encourage you, all those great things. And so today is no different. We have a dynamic speaker. She is starting the October off right. And I've been wanting to do this topic for quite some time, and that is crime prevention. I don't know if any of you all have been a victim of it. I remember years ago, I was just out of college and I got robbed at gunpoint. But at some point, you're a victim of crime at some capacity, whether it is physical, whether it is identity theft, maybe your accounts or your email has been hacked. But crime is just everywhere. And to me, it's just been ever present. I have not done any stats, any statistics, but I just think during COVID, I think thieves have just been more creative. I was just going in the bank and just handling some transactions, and the teller was telling me it's just more and more thieves during this period of COVID with just being creative and how to get monies. And so I wanted someone to come and talk about it, and just was thinking. I said, wait a minute, Sunny Slaughter, we had her during our Healthy Movement Challenge we had years ago. It was via telephone call, and so the Lord laid her up on my heart, and I'm so glad he did. And so we have Sunny today. She is an expert. This is her area of expertise. I'm gonna let her introduce herself. I know she works for the Federal Law Enforcement Office. I think she's an instructor. She's a litigation consultant. She's gonna discuss crime prevention, y'all. She's gonna answer all of our questions. She's gonna tell us everything that we need to know. So listen, I need you to do a couple things. I need you to tag somebody in the comment section. I need you to text somebody who needs to know this information. And I need you to share this broadcast. I know this broadcast is going on around 12 noon. People are at lunch, possibly at work. So we're going to reshare it this afternoon. But listen, make sure that you share it. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section. We are watching on YouTube and on Facebook. So listen, if you have any questions, please, ma'am, please, sir, please make sure you go ahead and tell us those questions on today. So hello, Sunny, how are you?
Oh, First Lady, good morning. Yeah, it's morning. No, good afternoon. It's 12 o'clock. Yeah, hi, how are you? All is well, all is well. And thank you so much for that amazing introduction and the work that you all have
Oh.
been doing at the church for so many years. It is needed, necessary, and noteworthy.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate you coming on today. I know you're busy. Everybody's busy, but you were like, sure, I'll do it. I'll be glad to do it. So thank you for your availability. So you can start off to just telling us about yourself, your area of expertise, any of that, and then we can get into your into the discussion.
Okay, great. So I'm Sunny Slaughter. Hello to my family and friends in Birmingham and to people all across the world. Great topic. I'm grateful to be here. I am the Sunny Slaughter. I am a law enforcement instructor, consulting, training coordinator, and litigation expert, formerly with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. I now do that work on my own, and I have been doing it for more than a decade, almost 14, 15 years now. I've been a federal law enforcement instructor. I have my own criminal consulting firm. I am based in the DC area, but my website is sunnyslaughter.com. And I focus my work on crimes against persons. I'm also a litigation expert, and so I've kind of moved away from doing more of the community work, so I've gone from community to courtrooms and classrooms, which is a unique transition, but noteworthy, really working with law enforcement and other leaders around the areas of public safety, public health, and public relations and crisis communication. So that is kind of what I do, but more information is on my website. Is not everything that I do on my website, but please reach out. But more importantly, I want to get into this topic that First Lady Pam reached out to me about, because it is a lot of the work that I have been doing in the last few years, particularly with COVID. I've been doing a lot of litigation work and consulting for law firms and corporations and businesses, and with law enforcement around crime and fraud and what that looks like in the many forms. So I want to thank you for being really diligent in the topics that needed to be addressed for everyday individuals.
Amen.
And we are all, in some form or fashion, an everyday individual operating, like I said, as individuals, but also in units with our family and friends. And how we need to remain safe is really of grave concern. And the statistics vary. Personal crimes and corporate crimes, most often we hear about what's going on with big corporations, but we don't needle that down to what's happening in our individual lives. So I created just a brief presentation to kind of navigate me and keep us on point with some of our particular priorities around protecting you and your loved ones. Most often, people think personal safety and public safety, while it involves our law enforcement entities at every level, personal protection really starts at home. What are you doing as an individual to ensure that you are physically safe, that your information is protected, that your family is protected, and that you are well informed? Information is key on things that you can do to prevent some of the things happening to you. And we'll also talk about the intervention, because crime happens every day, everywhere, and to everyone in some form or fashion, like you said, First Lady, earlier. But there are some things that we can do as individuals to kind of mitigate or navigate those factors. And I want to talk about that today. Can we go to the next slide, please? So, as I was thinking about the topic, I was thinking about the types of criminality that exist in the grand scheme of what individuals are looking at every day. And this is not based on any particular gender. I want us to focus on people who have the potential to be victims and those that are perpetrators. So one of the things that I always say, and it's on another slide, is too, that anyone can be a victim of crime and anyone can be a perpetrator. Often we get kind of narrow lens with who does what type of crimes. Criminals just are criminals, and we should remember that. So identity theft is one of the things I thought about. Bank fraud, dating schemes and scams, and how emails get compromised in our information, and online predators. And I did want to narrow down a little bit for parents and guardians and family members on online predators. Okay, so crime, as I said, can happen to anyone, and anyone can be a victim. First Lady, you said you were held at gunpoint at one time and robbed. Do you remember what you did?
I was frozen. I mean, like I couldn't believe it was happening. It happened to be in Atlanta on Campbellton Road, and I was with someone, and I was just frozen. I was just like I couldn't move.
Yeah, a lot of times people want to fight, they want to protect their items, but you have to think about what is the best way to do that. Are you in a space where you have the option to not comply? Are you, what is it that you're trying to protect? What does the perpetrator, if they're holding a gun, now you know we cannot stop bullets, just let them have whatever it is that they want to have. If you want to fight, so crime never takes a vacation. While we're all about doing our lives and going on, criminals who are intent, there is intent is to make victims. And I said make victims, create victims, and have a victimology that they are looking for. It does not take a vacation. It does not take a day off. They don't sleep. While we all are sleeping, they are coming up with the next scheme and scam, the next opportunity, the next thing. And then some things are unplanned. And a lot of times I've heard people say, well, don't go to this place at night because it's unsafe. Uh, Crime happens at all times of the day, early in the morning and late at night and in the afternoon. So don't put a time frame on what you think something can or cannot. Now, in some situations, is crime more likely to happen at a given time? Yes, that is true. Things can happen more under the cover of darkness, but then some people are more brazen. And one of the things that you said earlier, First Lady, you talked about COVID. COVID has amassed a population of individuals who were enclosed and had nothing but time on their hands to create the perfect opportunity for harming others. And if you are ever the victim of a crime or you know someone, it is really important to call the police. A lot of times crime happens and people are embarrassed. They don't want to call the police. In historically marginalized and oppressed communities, they say, well, the police is not, they're not going to do anything. The thing is, call them anyway. Call the police. That is their job. That is what they're there to do. And it is necessary. I've seen a lot of people make posts about something happened to them on social media, like on TikTok. And I'm always in the inbox saying, okay, you gave everybody the story. Did you call the police? Like, is there a police report?
Right.
Is there data? Because you cannot call out law enforcement on what they don't do if you cannot track them about the things that they've been called to do that they may not have been responded to. So while you might post it on social media, please, people, please, whatever you do, be sure to call the police. Now, when I say call the police, there are many jurisdictions. You have local police, so the police departments, you have county police, like the sheriff's departments and the county officers. You have federal police, like the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and those federal agencies. You need to call somebody because your friend cannot help you. They can't stop any other crimes from happening either. So I don't know how many times I could say it, call the police. even if you don't think they're going to do anything.
Hey, Sonny, I want to interject something here. When this line on here that says crime can happen anywhere and does happen everywhere, when we first moved to Birmingham, that people were saying, make sure live on the outskirts, and which we did, we live on the outskirts of Birmingham. And then, I guess with me, I became just shocked when now crime is just so it's happening a lot in Mountain Brook, Vestavia Hills. And when I see something come across the news, I'm like, oh, crime happens there. you know, because in my mind, I'm thinking it's not supposed to happen in certain areas, in certain states.
I'm glad you said that because I want to tell you something else. One of the other things that I've done and do, so I'm a media analyst
Mm-hmm.
on television. I've been on lots of stations, local stations in the Birmingham area and nationally.
Mm-hmm.
The perception of crime and criminality, that crime doesn't happen in a particular neighborhood, that is a false um, perception. What happens is, and this is me talking as a media expert who has also done stories behind the scenes with the media, it is how coverage of criminal behavior is covered by the media.
Mm-hmm.
Now, years ago, I spent time in Mountain Brook with the chief, who is now retired. I know crime has always happened in Mountain Brook and in Vestavia. It is how it is reported, it
Mm-hmm.
is how it is identified.
Mm-hmm.
And do not get confused that crime does not happen. It's just that some crime is quiet and some crime happens out loud. And that is a media thing,
Okay.
not necessarily that it is not happening. Birmingham, I believe I saw something online when at home, DC, going through social media, where something happened in another part of in Jefferson County. And if people across the world don't know, Jefferson County is the largest of the 67 counties that make up the state of Alabama, and they have the largest law enforcement entity with local law enforcement jurisdictions and the county sheriff's department. So something happened in another city in proximity to Birmingham, and the crime happened there, but then there was a reference made that the person lived in Birmingham.
Oh, wow.
So see, I'm going to be crystal clear because I am who I am. Some of
Right.
that has to do with race and racism as well. So do not get confused that crime does not happen in places outside of where you are just because it is not portrayed in the media that way. And yes, I said that out loud. My
Hey,
name is
that's
Sunny Slaughter.
at sunnyslaughter.com.
Um,
I got
yeah.
you. Yeah.
So I'm glad you pointed that out because it's really important for people to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next slide. Let's see what we have. So I want to get more down to in law enforcement, we call this situational awareness. It is really, and it has lots of components, but I wanted to focus on this for the general public. Situational awareness, and this part about being aware of your environment. First Lady and I were talking earlier about I was a solo parent, not single parent, solo parent of four children, two girls and two boys, and they were all very young. And I taught them situational awareness as very, very young children. And a lot of times we don't think we can teach our children this. My children were so little, but one of the things I taught them about situational awareness was when we are out in public, in a parking lot, in a store, one, they had to remain together, like with me in eye view. Nobody could wander off. They also had to be quiet. A lot of times I'm in the stores and I see parents and their kids are loud and they're running around. That is not only out of control, but it does not create the level of situational awareness that is important, not only for the parents and the children, but the other people, because people get distracted. So you can't see what else is going on that might put you in danger when you're doing everything else other than paying attention to your environment. So when we walked out to the parking lot, there was no running around, no screaming, no loud. The children were very aware of their environment. We also had a plan about how we got in our vehicles. I made sure they all got in there first. The elder ones helped the littler ones. And then I kept the doors locked until I walked around and opened that door. And I always said, if anyone comes up, do not, under any circumstances, try to rescue me. Get on the horn, flash the lights, stay in the car. That is situational awareness. When you are out, know your surrounding. Don't be so involved on your phone, walking, talking with your friends, that you are not looking at the perimeter of where you are. Your environment is really key. So pay attention. Also, be prepared on how you will respond. Now, everyone doesn't carry a weapon. So, women, men also, if you have keys and you feel unsafe in the area, you put your keys inside you hold the bulk of your keys together, put them in here in case you've got to hit someone. You are looking for the threat or dangers. How do you process quickly? First Lady, you said you froze. Most people do. Now, just because I do this doesn't mean that I wouldn't freeze too. But how do you think you would respond? And just because you are in a particular profession doesn't mean that you are always ready for something that comes very quickly at you. But think about, what are the things that you need to tell other people when you're out in groups? Who's paying attention? What you're going to do? Who's going to go for help? Is everyone connected on their phones? Be proactive to reduce the potential of danger. Tell others where you are. I am 54 years old. My children have become my parents. I have to check in when I am leaving. They have to know where I'm staying. I have to check in periodically. My son was texting me this morning, "Hey girl, how you doing? Just checking in." But it's okay to tell people where you are going. Even if you're going someplace that you shouldn't be, you need to tell one person.
That's right.
And try to not put yourself in situations where you can avoid potential danger. You know, things that you know are unsafe and that you're not prepared to do. Stay focused, remain calm, but at all costs, do whatever you need to do to save your life if you get in trouble. In your home, in my home, and I'm not in my home right now, I have cameras, and people say, "Oh, that's an extra expense. I can't afford that." If you can afford to go to McDonald's or go out to eat or buy sneakers, you can afford personal protection because you are the first person who is responsible for your safety and the safety of your family members. If there's someone elderly, you need to know what's going on. The cable companies, Xfinity, they have packages that are available where you can have cameras in the home. You can monitor voice, lights, activity going on. And if you think that's too much of an expense, then you have to think about how you value your life and your safety. Now, everyone cannot do that. You might not believe in the Second Amendment or want to have guns. I'm a Second Amendment person. I believe in having firearms. Okay. Everybody else got one. I want to be able to shoot back too.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
but you can have bats. Bats are very inexpensive, but you want to get aluminum bats.
Hmm.
Now, for your college students, bats are not the same type of weapon that would be illegal, but they can be used for protection. So if you have college students and they're away at school and they should not have firearms on the college campuses, please They should not have knives and things like that. However, a small bat can be used, and it can be kept by the bedside. It can be kept by the door. Even in my house, I have a bat. My young adults, they have bats at their house in addition to other weapons.
Hmm.
Now, some people like to have mace, and I want to be clear about mace. Mace is good to have. However, um, if you ever have to use it, I need you to think realistically.
Hmm.
If it is windy outside and you are spraying mace,
Hmm.
there will be flashback on you.
Hmm.
And I hope I'm not using terms that sound too, but you always have to think
Right.
about that. So just know where you are, know your surroundings, and we need to be more protective of our elderly
Hmm.
and those who live alone, whether they're elder or not. Now, I'm elderly. I'm 54. You know I'm elderly. Okay?
Not elderly.
Seriously. You know, we need to look out for our brothers and sisters, even when we don't know them. We don't need to be nosy, but we do need to know when others need our help. It is the right thing to do.
Right. Sonny, what about things? Because people talking about an expense. At our home, we have an app called Life 360. Now I know, it's hard to plan out every scenario that could happen. Okay, well, somebody may take the phone or whatever, but that allows us to track our children,
Mhm.
track, my husband and I, we can track where each other are, that kind of thing. So I know you mentioned, which is great. It's a funny story about the bat, but one of our children said, "Well, Mama, I'll just get the bat that's by your bed." I'm like, "How did you know I have a bat by my bed?" but but are there some other things that we can have? I know we have a ringtone at our home, but are there some other things?
Yeah, so the 360 app I know is really good. And any kind of, I think individuals need to, one of the things I want to provide I want to provide information. I need people also to be more aware of trying to do research. So the 360 app, any kind of tracking app that you can put on each other's phones to know. Now, I don't have an iPhone. I know some of you iPhone users are very bougie with that. And
Yes,
maybe
we
some
are.
people don't even know what that term is. But my children can track each other on their iPhone.
Yeah.
I have an Android, but they can keep track of one another. They can share their location.
Yeah.
There are other ways. I'm not too sure about all of the apps that are out there these days, but I really do think you brought up something really good to look for the different things that might help your family and
Hmm.
friends remain safe
Hmm.
and diligent when they're out and about. You know, the bats. I just had some law enforcement at my house recently, and I have a smaller version of the police nightstick that retracts out, actually hanging up at my door on the key chain, because on the I have a sign that says keys, and then it has the hooks. So right there, the very first thing is that it is a very heavy weapon, but it's very small, but it retracts. And as the marshals were walking, they said, "Oh, you got it fully loaded." Because I have that, I have mace up there. I said, "Y'all know I got the other stuff back there." But
Right.
when people are at the door and
Hmm.
we are opening our doors, even when we're expecting a delivery, we should be careful
Hmm.
at all times, even when we know people. We should just, and people can take a bat, a knife, but the thing is, you want to do what you can do to protect yourself. You want to give the best possible fight. And can apps be compromised? Yes, all of those things are true, but you still need to do them. You still need to download an app, try it out, and just be aware all the time.
That's good.
Anything else, First Lady?
No, that's good. I didn't know that about the aluminum bats. I mean, yeah, we're going
Yes,
out for the
aluminum
bats
bats
today. That's
are,
good.
they're lighter weight to swing, but they are dangerous Wooden bat you can break quickly, but aluminum bat is, yes, it can be used as a weapon. And you can have them around the house, kind of just anywhere.
Anywhere,
But
yeah.
check on your friends, check on people. And if you don't see someone for a very long time, go knock on the door.
Mhm.
People might are sometimes in danger and are in trouble, and we don't know, but we really have to do a better job of checking on our family members and our friends. And I'll just say this really quick, and in this point, I've been calling my father in love, and I've been divorced from my first husband for decades, but they're still my family. And I talked to my mother-in-law, but my father-in-law does not answer his cell phone. So I just had to go check it out and see, like, what is wrong with you not answering yourself? Now they live in the same house, but the point is,
Right.
I need to make sure he knows how to use his phone and
Right.
answer the thing when somebody's calling. It's important. Little things that we think don't matter do.
I have someone I know, I'm not going to say the name, but if their family member, their mom doesn't pick up the phone, they'll send the police to the house. And so
Yes.
the mom is like, stop doing that. She said, well, you need to answer your phone then.
A wellness check for someone who doesn't, you can send the police for a wellness check for someone who
Right.
might be elderly, or
Right.
someone who's not elderly that you are in regular contact with and you cannot get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, send
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and the police, they show up enough times that the person gonna start answering the phone. Now I didn't think about that for my father-in-law.
You might take that one.
I might start saying, I'm saying, now look, if you don't answer the phone when I call you,
All right. Okay.
folks just need to act right.
That's right. Exactly. Oh, they pick up now. They pick up.
I bet you they do. Please be showing up and there, all the neighbors looking like, what
Right.
happened? Embarrassment will sometimes make you do things that your right mind won't.
That's right. All right. You want me to stay on this slide or go
Yeah,
to the next
no.
one?
I think next slide.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Because I want to give you time to ask questions.
Okay.
So I thought this was really an important topic. Online predators. There is a lot of that happening today. So I was the victim of identity theft about a year or so ago. Um, and you can be the victim of identity theft because predators, like I said, are always busy. And we don't know how I became the victim of identity theft, but somehow they got my name and information, and but we think it was an inside job.
Mhm.
Opened up a bank account in my name,
Hmm.
but they were so stupid because the information for the bank account actually came to my house because they used my
Wow.
information. So they were smart, but not that
That's
smart.
smart. Yeah.
Because when I received the information, I immediately contacted the bank. This is very, very important. Some things that I want to talk about when it comes to this. Every single morning, I have a routine. I have a business and I have personal stuff. I check my bank accounts every single day, multiple times a day. I check all of them. Okay. I just literally go on and I look. I also have alerts on all of my accounts and on all of my things. So if $5 moves in my bank, because that's a lot of money, I'm going to know about it because it's going to come to my phone and email. And a lot of
Mhm.
people are not that focused. But when you are really thinking about the ways in which people can gather your information and really become predators, it is very important for you. You don't have to do your stuff every single day, but I do advise for people to put alerts on their banks, on their, and that is text message alerts, email alerts when money moves and transactions happen with your bank accounts, with your credit cards.
Mhm.
Also, I now, because of what happened with this banking institution, it took a lot of time. It took months, almost 7, for me to then receive a letter from the bank that I was the victim of fraud. You have to receive something from the institution from where your information was compromised in order for you to then put that on your credit. Now, I not only have a 1 year, when you've been the victim, you can get a credit monitor thing for 1 year on all the credit profiles. And this has nothing to do with buying power or me buying anything, but I need to protect my identity. But now, because of this, and I got the paperwork and I followed through, I now have something for 7 years. So no one can buy anything in my name. They
Mm.
cannot check my credit, run my credit. They cannot view it unless I give them access,
Mm.
because everything is locked now.
Mm.
Doesn't mean people don't try. And that is for my personal, for my business. I'm a social media person. I have a lot of social media. I see a lot of times people putting their information out, personal stuff, business stuff. I used to put more personal information than I do now. But once my uncle put his car, this was many years ago, placed his car, a picture of his car, and his license plate was in there. Well, he was in New Jersey. He's a very important and prominent person there. I called him because he was not aware.
Mm.
He had a high profile for the state. And I said, you need to take that picture down. And he was like, why? I said, your license plate number is in there.
Mm.
So somebody can take your license plate number, track it back to your home and where you
Wow.
are.
Wow.
So they can take your street address and where you live at. So when you're showing pictures of your home, and it's great to share, be careful about how much you share and the things that you are sharing. I know I used to share pictures of my kids. We also have to be mindful of, when we're taking pictures of our kids and they're at games and everything. As someone who is a globally recognized expert in uh, sexual exploitation, human trafficking, and other forms of exploitation, predators are always looking to identify potential victims. So they find out where your children are and then they follow them. They become friends. They create a profile, a fake one. And as children do, they share a lot sometimes on social media. Now, kids are not as much on Facebook anymore, but other social media platforms, Snapchat, Instagram,
Mm.
children are not on LinkedIn, but all of the other. There's so many out there that I actually don't keep track of these days. But there are a lot of apps that children use. TikTok, the way they communicate, and now I have everything I think but Snapchat. So TikTok, and I'm on there and I'm watching things and sharing and watching people. And sometimes they'll say, oh, that might be a little too much. So we just have to be aware about our location, where we are. If you're going out of town, it's always best not, if you announce that you're going out of town, who else is at your home? Because crime happens when people leave and nobody's at home, and then predators find out, and then they go and break into homes and different things like that. So just kind of be mindful of that. And we all want to share our experiences online, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just be aware of how you are doing, what you are doing, and how that may impact you. So like I said, personal protection starts with you first. How are you communicating? Now, more recently, and that's why the U.S. Marshals were at my house. And I'm going to say this, I didn't post it, but the whole lot banking scheme from a year ago then led to a phone call a month ago from somebody acting like they were me and buying stuff from New Mexico, and a false person calling me saying they were with Customs and Border Patrol. And I was like, okay. But I'm very calm because nobody's coming for me ever again. That won't happen. Okay. But Those are the kinds of things that can be unsettling if you don't have access to people that can do things. And though I have that kind of access, everyone does not. And it's really important that you report these things to law enforcement because they need to know. And the person that somehow got my information a year ago is connected to somebody else that committed a crime in some other state, which then recently um, instigated a visit from a whole team of United States Marshals on a federal fugitive warrant,
Oh,
calling me by my government name as I opened the door, thinking I'm getting my laptop at before 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, I was not moved, and there were guns and everything. I did not panic because, well, one, I knew I didn't do anything, but also I just have that level of comfort in myself. And I just answered what needed to be answered. They came in and everything. And but one scheme can lead to something else that you don't know. It is very important if you are the victim of a crime to follow through to the very, very end. Very end. And I mean, get your paperwork. Make sure there's information that you have in your hand. Make sure that they know that that's not you. So your name does not get attached, caught up, or anything with anyone else. And if you have a common name, last name like I do, Slaughter, there are a lot of Slaughters, then that's even more of a reason to make sure that you are focused on protecting your family and talk openly with your children. I know we think we shouldn't, well, the child is too young to know about this, and we talk about good person, bad person. Okay. Don't cloud it with the type of person when you're talking to a child. Anyone can do anything to your
right.
child.
Mhm.
Predators are not, they're online, but they're also in our communities, they're in our families, they're in our homes, they're in our places of worship, they are everywhere. And they can get your information, your access. I had someone, I had a dating, I tried to call myself dating. Oh, that is not working. My children told me to stop that because I had someone trying to make like he was a very rich person with a fake identity. So for individuals, and I'm not going to say for women dating, I'm going to say for people, if you cannot see or communicate with a person, not just online in the chat and text message, no, you need to see them in a video. Like I can see the first lady and she can see me, and
Right.
all of you can see us. You need to
Right.
know who you're talking to.
Mhm.
It's okay to date. Things are not the way they used to. It's okay to use dating sites, but no matter how you meet an individual, you want to meet the person who they really are and not the representative that you may come in contact with the first time. And it's hard to know. You might think the person is great. And I am telling you, as someone who has been married in real life to a child predator.
Wow.
So there are different things that are happening. None of this is new. However, frauds and fakes, they're on the rise, and we should really be aware, pay attention, listen to the news, read the things. And when you get something off social media, please pay attention to it. Don't just accept everything. And I'm going to talk about that on the next slide.
Yeah.
Um, be aware. Do you have anything, First Lady?
Yeah. And I know you mentioned that you were able to lock your credit. Um, can you tell our viewers like, what agency you went through so they can know
Yes.
what's reputable and what's not too costly and
So I use McAfee on
McAfee?
my computer. I use McAfee on my computers. I think Norton Lock is another one,
Mhm.
but I have invested in McAfee to protect. all of my computers, all of my personal information. And what I did was, because I used McAfee, see, in order to lock your credit, you would have to call each individual agency. But because I had a McAfee account, I was able just to call McAfee and let them call all of the agencies. And then I get a notification from the agency because they're in a partnership and they
Mhm.
did all of that.
Oh, okay.
But if you don't have McAfee, you can reach
Yeah.
out to what is it, Equifax,
Yeah.
TransUnion, and Experian individually to
Okay.
let them know.
Okay.
And
Oh,
you should always keep track of what's on your credit.
right.
Those things are really important. And a lot of times people don't think about the financial costs and loss that when it comes to online predators and the schemes, scams that they come up with daily.
Yeah. And is there a way that you can, I think, register with the federal government? I think an attorney mentioned that to
The
us.
FCC.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I have that on the last slide. It tells.
Oh,
So what
okay.
happens is when you do, when you're the victim of a scam, I'm going to talk about that on the last slide. Who you need to contact. This slide, this next slide is really important. Misinformation and disinformation. A lot of times people have heard this term lately over the past several years. And they don't think it applies to them as an individual. You might hear it when they're talking about politics, like there's a misinformation campaign and
Mhm.
disinformation campaign that people are doing. And but the everyday person hears miss and dis and don't know that they're actually two different things. So I put I put the definition up here, and please use Google, okay, for more to learn more about terms and things that you don't understand. Please do your research online. Look for reputable uh, institutions, educational institutions, to kind of gather news. Now, when it comes to news, you need to weigh um, the politics from the different the misinformation that sometimes happens across the thing. So misinformation is false, misleading, and out of context content shared without an intent to deceive. So that happens when, if I would say, if I would give some statistical data that said 9 out of 10 um, dogs bark in this neighborhood. Well,
Mhm.
I've given you some information, but it's actually not right. It's not correct information, but I did not do it with the intent to deceive. However, I put it on Facebook and then everybody else shares it, and it's actually not true.
Mhm.
So I didn't know, but I shared it. It's like when you share something on social media and the information is not correct because you haven't done your homework, but
Mhm.
it is misleading. So the intent, which we always talk about in criminal stuff, in law and law enforcement, the intent of an individual might not be clear, but the information is still wrong.
Mhm.
And then it becomes, and it is still deceptive in nature. Disinformation is false or misleading content that was purposely created with the intent to cause harm and deceive. It's typically motivated, and I made sure I put this in here, by three factors: political power or influence, profit, or desire to sow chaos and confusion.
Wow.
So, very clear on what disinformation is. And let me give you a really very clear example. Former President Trump, and
Mhm.
this is not for any particular party or political statement, these are facts. Former President Trump did not lose the 2020 election, and current President Joe Biden is not the president. That is disinformation. Okay?
Right.
Now, it is chaotic. I don't care whether you're a Democrat, Republican, I work with everybody. I just need folks to get it right. But that is the type, I think. because of everything today, I thought that that would be a great information of what happens in a disinformation campaign.
Right.
And this disinformation can be very, very, very harmful and dangerous because people set in their bones with this type of things. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I've been doing over the past years is working on quietly, because I can't talk about this to the extent, but the disinformation campaign as it related to some of the political things that were happening. I was doing some work, consulting work on a lot of that having to do with Ukraine prior to this invasion and things like that. Very dangerous. People's lives are in danger when you have misinformation that can become disinformation, and that these things. And this is important because we have voting coming up. And in the state of Alabama, and I know you have people that listen everywhere and across the country, we have elections coming up that will change the dynamics of people's lives in ways that cannot be measured.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really important for you to do your individual homework because it is also tied to crime, fraud, and prevention and public safety and how it impacts public lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you all take heed to that.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last slide, because I see we're running out. Did you have any questions, First Lady? Because I know, oh, I kind of messed this slide up. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
That,
I
that
had
in on there.
no, you're fine. I had one quick question. And I'm
Yes.
thinking about how often should you change your passwords? And I'm one, I don't change them that often because number one, I am almost 50 and I can't be changing stuff too much, Sonny. So
Oh,
literally, I have the password saved somewhere, and then when I have to change it, then I'll, I go to that spot and I'll change it. But how often should we change them? And then, is it okay to use the same password for Yahoo as I do for Twitter, as I do for Facebook?
no.
What's up?
You should
Okay.
not use the same password for everything or too many things, because a compromised password for one thing then leaves you open to all of the other things with the same password being compromised, because predators are actually going through all of your information and
Yeah,
trying to see what they can get into.
well, they can get, yeah.
If you get McAfee, there are things, and I'm saying McAfee because although that there are other opportunities, there are other Google, I think, has one where you can save your passwords and then change them.
Mhm.
But I use things with my McAfee account comes something called True Key. And with True Key, it locks all of your passwords in, and it has to be opened on your devices,
Mm.
and you can go in and it can encrypt. It can send you encryption um, passwords as well. You can create an account for something and then it can send you an encryption password. And then you just need to know what your true key or whatever the main account is. Also, use secondary devices. So sometimes someone was trying to get into one of my accounts, and I have my things set up as secondary devices.
Mhm.
And so you might get in one thing, but there's a notification that's coming to me, and I can deny or give access based on my secondary authentication app.
Yeah, yeah. I think mine is like that too. So cell phone to my laptop, it has to be a secondary device.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I use a lot of the biometrics things now. I have it on my new laptop. I biometric things on my phone to all of my banking information. I also keep a locked notes on my cell phone. So even
Yep.
if it is stolen or lost, then all of my things that are in there are then still attached and you still can't get
I
access.
used to, right, right. Okay,
So the
what about
secondary notifications are good.
second? Okay, okay, yeah. And say that again about, well, first of all, we had one of our viewers to say, please say it again about the passwords. Please say that part again about the password. And
So,
also,
so
how
make
often should you change it? How often should you
every
change it
couple
to?
of months.
Every couple months.
Every call. Well, if you, particularly if you have something that is being compromised or may have been compromised, there are a lot of data breaches, and Yahoo
Yes.
has. You got to stay up on where there's a data breach with your credit cards, with your accounts. Um,
Uh-huh.
Gmail has it. Yahoo can be compromised a lot, and so you got to stay up on those. As soon as you get a notification, or as soon as you read something that this was compromised, my McAfee account, I put all of my things in, and it can show me where my information was compromised on the dark web, and then I need to change the password.
Mm-hmm.
And do not use your parents' names, your family member, your kids' name. Do not use things that are relevant to your personal life for your password. That is easy for predators to latch on to. Because the person that was trying to get me in a dating scheme, he wanted to know, oh, so what's your parents' name? Why do you need to know that?
Why? Exactly.
Well, but he was trying to get, I was trying to figure out who he was so I can work a thing with the police against him.
I know
But
you.
but those are things, if you're talking to someone and they're saying, oh, what's your parents' name? So the thing that most people don't get crazy about, do not ask me about my parents. My mother is deceased. I'm so sensitive. I'll be ready to fight folks. And I know that's going to say that,
No, ma'am.
but you have to be careful about what you share, because most
Right.
people have something attached to their personal life, their family, their parents. And when you use those in passwords, those are easy to be compromised. So change your passwords regularly. If you have social media accounts, change them regularly. Don't use the same same password across
Mhm.
multiple accounts, because once it's compromised in one area, as predators look around your life and things, then they try to compromise it, and then they try to get access to your information.
I see so many notifications people post on, especially Facebook. Please don't accept new requests from me. My account has been hacked. Yeah.
Facebook is a huge hacking opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah, and when you have multiple accounts, and people like to steal your pictures and all kinds of things. People
Yeah.
they don't have anything else better to do than
Wow.
to cause other people problems. That's what they do.
Wow. Okay.
Their lives.
Mm.
So the last thing is important information. 911, use it. It
Mhm.
works.
Mhm.
Oh, and I did not put on here, but 988, for anyone who might be having a mental health issue, suicide, that is the new number for I think it's the National Suicide Hotline. I think that's the name for it. Please don't quote me on that, but that's a separate number from 911. Please do not call 911 if you know someone is having a mental health issue. Please call 988 to get a crisis intervention team that is specifically trained and not local law enforcement. Okay. You also want to find out your local non-emergency numbers. A lot of people don't use those because sometimes something is not an emergency and you just need to talk to someone. And then find out the number. Local law enforcement is really in your area to help you with the needs of your community. So you need to use that. There's also, if you are the victim of fraud, if people are calling your numbers for scams, oh, let me say this really quick. Do not answer phone numbers that you don't know. I was getting phone calls from Nigeria. Now I
Mm.
did answer because I'm foolish, and I said, "Who?" And I said words I can't say now, but I was like, "Who is this calling me?" And stop. And then I blocked the numbers. So you should also have blocked numbers things on your cell phones. I use whatever your phone service is. Find out what scam blocking things you can have on your phone. Use those to block numbers that you don't know. Do not sign up for things that you don't know. Also, when you send an email or when others are emailing you, do not send out an email with everyone's email address shown.
That's
If you
right.
are working in a group, you need to blind copy, unless that's a small group and everybody gives you permission. People
Yes.
have compromised me by sharing my email, Fred, and then I don't speak nice when I call you. I said, if you don't get me off of this, because see, then you don't open me up to all kind. And if one person's email address gets compromised, in all seriousness, what happens is that if they share your stuff, if you're in
Yes.
their thing, then you get a bunch of spam, and that is
Yes.
how people get compromised really quickly. So if you don't know how to do business online and know how to send an email, don't
Good.
do not do that, because you really jeopardize others' personal information in ways that are profound, and we don't think
Good.
about that. Oh, I just want to send everybody and I can just fly. Do not share other people's information. Use that thing that says BC, that's blind coffee. Put
Copy.
everybody in your list. So I need,
That's
if
it.
I need to teach a class on that, I'm gonna teach a class on that, because that is so dangerous.
We we need something on email etiquette. No, you're right,
Yes,
because
yes, and I'm like, how unprofessional and but anyway,
no, but I'm gonna tell
really.
you who does it. I'm gonna tell you who does it. And we had to correct a teacher, one of our children's teachers, and she didn't mean anything by it, but and it was elementary school, and everybody's email addresses, coaches, everybody's email addresses on there. It's just everybody's. Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that part. Don't do that. That is Yeah, everybody don't want, because then you know what happens? Somebody replies all.
Yes.
And
And I
you
can see
spend
everybody
the
responses.
entire day going.
Right. Don't do it.
I say, Jesus help me. I literally, because it's not good. And the last thing, if your
Mhm.
information is compromised, it is very important. And now more than ever, the federal government is asking individuals to reach out to the Federal Commission, Communications Commission, the FCC. You can call them, you can go online. I do all of my things online. You can email them. The All you have to do is Google FCC, it'll come up, and there's a link for you to put in what happened. They are keeping track of this because these scams and schemes and misinformation and disinformation campaigns and things are really prevalent now. And they can put it on the wire and put the things out, and really know what's happening across the United States and globally.
Amen. One last thing, one quick thing. Talk about if you receive a text message from somebody you don't recognize. Should we
Do
be
not
opening
open
that?
it.
Thank you. Don't
Yes.
open
Do
that.
not open any links in your text message.
Hmm.
Do not call back anything. Do not respond to it. And do not open any links on your social media and your email or text that you don't know. If you receive something from your bank talking about, oh, you need to call this, just click on this link, do not do that.
Hmm.
That is a way that they are accessing your information. It is not your bank. Delete it, block it, call your bank directly.
Hmm. That's it.
Reach out to, do not open links and things that you do not recognize. It is very dangerous, and it goes into your entire system and compromises all of your information. And then you need to report that to the Federal Communications Commission as well.
Amen. Sonny, this was so much fun. I really enjoyed this. You are so funny. I had to keep clearing my throat before we got started, y'all, because I was laughing so much with her before we got started. And I was like, I've never had to do this. But
Well, this is a serious topic, but I have to make
yeah,
it so people will want to watch it and not feel like, oh, I want people to
right,
be prepared. I don't want you to panic. I need you to be
right.
prepared on purpose
Yes,
so you can be more vigilant in your crime prevention activities. But
yes.
I am, I try to give you a little humor in there, because in real life stuff be happening. You be like, oh Lord, that happened to you
Yes,
too? Yeah, child, stuff happened to me too. Don't you?
yes.
If somebody say that didn't happen, then they're not real.
Right, right. We've had quite a few things happen, but you're right, and we teach, we are able to share with people as a talking point. Hey, this happened, listen, this what you do, this, we know a lot of what not to do, we know a lot of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we
Yeah.
do. And some things can be embarrassing, and you're like, I don't want to tell anybody. I just told y'all that little crazy man was trying to get me, talking about he was gonna marry me. Now, I was all into the part where he was rich and gonna clear off all my debt. I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. And then I realized it was a scam.
Well,
But
and I'm
see,
glad you said that because we
yeah,
have singles at our church, and that is one of the questions that come up online dating. And I'm glad you said that.
yeah, well, we need to. That's a whole different
That's a whole
topic.
nother.
Yeah, because he was all sounding all good, but when they sound too good to be true. But
Yeah.
see, I'm going to tell all my business out loud, as you can see, because I'm like, I know I'm not going to keep that a secret. That happened to me too.
Yeah.
But it is really important because I called my girlfriend, who's also an attorney, and
Yeah.
I'm going to talk over things with my friends. Some
Hmm.
people don't have really good friends, and everybody know I'm kind of crazy too. And I'm like, they also know I like somebody for a moment and then I don't like them. But it is really important for us to protect ourselves, to protect our information, because there really are people out here trying to do us harm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we've got to do our part. So, I had to break up with him, with the false person.
and as your, and as your children said, you're not doing that again, Mama.
Yeah,
Right.
they're like, oh, please stop trying to date online. That's not for you. I'm like, okay. But you got to have people that you can tell.
Right.
If you don't tell anyone, you will be in danger all along. But as
Mhm.
much as I'm laughing, this is serious. My
Mhm.
children are young adults, but if you don't think that I'm going to tell them, because they're responsible for me. I'm 54. I can make a lot of mistakes. In the
That's
same way
true.
our children make mistakes as we get older and as we get more mature, and as the
Mhm.
people around us, everybody makes mistakes. And you
Yes.
cannot be ashamed and you cannot remain quiet when you could be potentially in danger.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sunny. I'm just going to verbalize a few announcements for our audience. When I get through, of course, please tell people how they can go to your website and give us just a few just final tips. Really enjoyed this. Listen, guys, don't forget, of course, please make sure you share this. Share this with, if you have someone in your family who's a senior, just share it with everybody, your children, your grandchildren, whomever. Please share this with everyone. On this Saturday, guys, don't forget we have a small group that's going to be going forward. Saturday is 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Of course, if you've been a part of it, you know the Zoom ID information. If not, please send us an email at smallgroups@bhambc.org. A special announcement, Pastor Mason on Sunday. We're going to have, of course, it's our virtual sanctuary, but we're going to have two services, Lord willing. Two services. We're going to have two services, one at 8 and another one at 10. So, of course, we will make sure you guys know that in advance once again. But once again, we're going to have two services on Sunday that's going to be virtual, one at 8. I'm sorry, not 10, one at 8 and one at 11. So one at 8 and one at 11. That would be this Sunday. Of course, please follow us on social media. We have some great other Winning Wednesday topics that are coming up. Please join us right here again next Wednesday at 11 at 12 o'clock noon. Central Standard Time. Been a joy, been a pleasure. Go to our website, bhambc.org, for all announcements. Of course, we have the prayer room call that goes forth every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have a study of scriptures every Tuesday at 11. That's powerful as well. So join us. And thank you so much. Sonny, we're going to have you back for some other stuff because you just sparked a lot of topics about the online dating. We definitely want to have you back for that. This
Sounds
good
good.
stuff.
Sounds good.
I love what you said about the kids too. Thank you for just including everybody, parents with children, senior citizens. I mean, you included a lot of people. We had a lady come on, we had a back to school rally virtual years ago, had a lady come on talk about how really your children shouldn't be on social media if they are of a certain age. Most of them is 18 and older. It's not, all these 10 and 11-year-olds shouldn't be on some of this stuff.
Mhm.
But we got to have you back for some other stuff. We got
Thank you.
that. Yes. So tell us how people direct us to your website, how they can contact you, and just any final remarks.
Thank you so much, First Lady. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you all today. Thank you for listening to me. I hope that you gained some value in this. I am Sunny Slaughter. My email address is sunnyslaughter.com, SUNNYSLAUGHTER.com. I am based in the DC area. I do little segments like this every once in a while for some folks, but please check out my website. For more information, you can follow me on, I have a Facebook business page, Sunny Slaughter Consulting. My personal page, please follow me on there. I'm on IG at I am the Sunny Slaughter. I have a YouTube page. You can follow all of that. Just Google Sunny Slaughter and follow me for more information.
We sure will. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
viewers,
you.
for joining us on today. I had a great time today with you, Sonny.
Me
I really
too.
did. You're coming back again. So thank you guys.
Sounds good.
Here.
Look, everybody stay safe out there
Yes,
and at home.
that's
Okay.
it. That's it. If
Okay.
you go on vacation, don't tell nobody you're going. Don't be putting it on social media.
Yeah, wait till you come back. And then
Wait till,
everybody be like, I didn't even know you was gone. That's right,
that's
child.
it. That's the point.
That's
All right.
fine. All right. Take care, everyone.
All
Take care,
right.
first.
Love you. Thank you.
Love
All
you
right.
too. Be
Bye-bye.
blessed.